Hey there gamers, today I'm going to be installing LukeFZ's FSR 3 frame generation mod into Jedi Survivor. I'm going to run through the game with the mod disabled, then I'm going to enable the mod and run through the same section of the game again so you can compare the frames per second from both sections, and then I'll finally do a short segment at the end of the video where I show how to install the mod. So first off, probably best if I show you the options that I've currently got. So I want to go down to visuals. So windowed mode full screen, we're at 1280 by 800. Most things are low, although I have bumped up the texture quality to high, just to make things look a bit better. Field of view is set to wider. VSync and ray tracing are off, and FSR2 is set to quality. As you can see, without the mod, upscaler and frame generation are both disabled. Motion blur, film grain, chromatic aberration are off. I've left the camera shake as is, and I don't know if that was set to 0 or I've set it to 0, but ambient camera sway is 0. And I've left the HUD on. I think that's the only changes I made. So let's start. So I have recorded these sections out of order. So I forgot to remove the power cable in the FSR3 generation section. So I'm going to leave the power cable in. So there would be a reduction in frames per second for both of these both sections of the game if you left that plugged in. So although it says I'm on performance mode, there's something weird with the Lenovo where under certain circumstances it seems to perform as if it's at the custom 30 watt. I'm not sure the exact circumstance, but just assume this is what you would, the performance you would see if you're plugged in, and take a few frames per second off if you're running on battery. So you can see we're low 40s in this section of the game. It does feel nice and responsive. Down to 35. Even a dip to 29. So it's quite an intense game for this device. And I'm pretty sure this is probably not the most intense area. I believe there's some sort of open areas that are even more demanding. Yeah, so we're seeing dips again, 24 frames per second briefly. And that explains something I was seeing in the FSR3 frame generation, where it did drop in frames per second as well. So it seems to be, it makes sense that that would also occur in the frame generation, where it's just generating frames off of the ones that, off the real frames. I'll stop talking because that sounded very babbly. I need to heal. I'm so rusty on this game. Wow. That's playing this like a week ago and was a heck of a lot better. You know, I've forgotten all the binds. Okay. I think I've gone the wrong way.
I've given you everything I have. We're here to protect you. I'm sure that's worth a few more credits.
Okay, so in my previous run through I didn't go this way, so let's try and figure out where I went. Ah, this way. What are my buttons? Whoops. Okay, I feel like I've run around this bit just a second ago. Yep, looks familiar. Okay. I have no idea what my binds are.
Don't think he was a fan of you either. I don't see a way out. Let's look around. Looks like me. Find something, buddy? What's he got? Extension cable. Workers use them for construction now. Can you repair it? Cable's a bit frayed. Not in bad shape. Should be a quick patch job. So I heard.
Okay, so that's showing the gameplay without the FSR 3 mod. So next section I will run through the same bit with the mod enabled. See you in a second. Okay, that took a very long time for it to compile the files, so let's modify the options and turn FSR 3 generation on. So I've actually already done this, but I will show you how to do it. So we go to Visuals, scroll down. I'm going to keep all the other settings the same as before. And here it was FSR 2. By changing this to quality, it disabled this button, and I've toggled on frame generation. Okay, so let's get back into the game and run through the same section and see what sort of frames per second we're getting. Okay, I forgot to put Reverse Statistics Tuner on. If you just give me a couple of seconds, I shall pause the video and turn that on so we can get the FPS. Okay, that took way longer than expected, and I rebooted and the frames per second counter started working. What I've just noticed as well is I've got a situation in the options where on visuals I have, I actually have FSR2 set to quality and the upscaler, DLSS upscaler set to quality and frame generation to on. I'm not sure how I did that, but it's working. So I'm just spinning around, just seeing if there's any artifacting going on. The HUD looks solid, but we do have a definite uplift in frames per second, up over 100 there. So let's run through the same section of the game we did before. Wow, we dropped to 30 odd frames per second there. Whoops, missed it. So we can see it's dropping down to 40 frames per second and then coming back up with frame gen. Down to 20. slight hitch there. Oops.
Enemies nearby. Looks like a fight. He's looking pretty hurt. Good work in that scrap.
I have made a mess of running through this section the second time.
Slow up. Enemies nearby. Scratch another.
Okay, well, I don't think you want to see me run through that section a third time. We'll go on to the next section where I show how to install the mod, but before that, a few words. It does seem to play okay. There are weird drops into much lower ranges of frames per second. I'm quite happy that there doesn't seem to be any ghosting on it. So overall, a nice uplift in frames. So let's get to installing the mod. Okay, let's install the mod into Jedi Survivor. So I've downloaded the correct files for Jedi Survivor from Luke's website onto the desktop here. So firstly, I'm going to want to navigate to the correct directory. So I've installed Jedi Survivor via Steam. So your path may be different if you've installed it via EA. So C drive, program files x86, Steam. Hello. There we are. Sorry, couldn't see it. Steam. Steam apps. Common. And I'm going to look for Jedi Survivor. And then the folder we're looking for here is SW game. And then binaries. And that's where, and then Win64. And that's where the application is, where the executable is. So we want to copy the files here. So I'll just minimize this for a second. And then I am going to select these two files from FSR to FSR3 common zip file. So let me copy them. And then I shall shut down that zip file. Go back to Windows Explorer, File Explorer. And we're going to paste. We're going to minimize again and then go to the other zip file, which is FSR2 FSR3 underscore 220. And we're just going to copy this .asi file into the same directory. So copied it. Now I shall paste it. Okay, so what we're going to want to do now is start Jedi Survivor and then come out of it. And that's purely to get it to write a configuration file, which we'll then need to edit two variables in. So I shall show that in a second. Well, not a second because it will take a while to load. In fact, let me pause while it's loading that game up. Okay, so I loaded the game and exited it out immediately. Got to say, Star Wars Jedi Survivor has the worst loading experience of any game that I can think of on this device. Takes forever to load, then sits there optimizing game files for quite a while, and then you actually get to start to play the game. But I'm obviously in a bit of a grumpy mood. I do apologize. Right, so going back into the folder, we've now got this toml file. So it's FSR2 FSR3 config.toml. And we're going to want to just double click on that. Now, for me, it brings it straight into the editor. I think it will for you. So it should be fine. So the two variables we're going to want to change under compatibility are fake NVIDIA GPU. And at the moment, it's set to false. So we want to set that to true. There's only one T in true. Okay, and then we will also want to set this AMD Unreal Engine DLSS workaround to true as well. It's currently false. And I can't spell true. Okay, so I will now go up to the File menu option and Save. You could also hold Control here and press S. But, you know, my fat fingers seem to make that difficult, so there we are. So now I should be able to relaunch the game and FSR3 should be enabled.